This is the last and final part of GPRS system. This is part 3 in our series. So let us start our discussion of this part 3 with GPRS bar edge network or architecture. Here I have given an abridged version of the GPRS bar edge network. The network for GPRS and the network for edge is the same. There is no separate network for GPRS and separate network for edge. But the only variation is the modulation methods. So GPRS got its own modulation, GMSK. Edge got its modulation, that is 8 PSK in case of good channel condition, and GMSK modulation in case of bad channel condition. So let us look into the network drawing. Whatever the elements we have shown in brick color, it is nothing but our circuit switched GSM network, which is connected to public switch telephone network for communication with landline network. Only the bottom after this dotted line, whatever the elements we have shown, they are meant for IP traffic or data communication or for access to the internet. So there are two important elements as far as the GPRS bar edge data infrastructure is concerned. The one is SGSN serving GPRS support node. The other one is GGSN gateway GPRS support node, which is connected to the external data network like internet. It need not be internet. It can be something like X.25 network or any other data network for that matter. So this is the external network. This side SGSN and all internal network. And this is the gateway between internal network and external network. The GGSN acts as an intermediary for isolating the internal network and external network. Now we will discuss about the main functionalities of SGSN followed by GGSN. In this slide, we will try to understand the main functions of serving GPRS support node. The SGSN element of the GPRS network provides a number of IP-based services like number one, packet routing and transfer. So packet data, it has to route to the destination and it has to transfer the data from one network element to the other network element. Then SGSN has to manage the mobility. So whenever the user is moving from one base station to other base station or moving within the same base station, so it has to manage the mobility of the user. That means on move also the data communication is to be made available to the user. Then the other function, the third important function is authentication. So the SGSN has to authenticate whether the user is a valid user, whether he is having the facility or not, whether he has subscribed for the GPRS facility or not. That is something like authentication. Then the fourth function is attaching and detaching. Here what I mean to say is it is to be connected to the data network for accessing, and after completion of using the data network, so the user should be disconnected. That is known as detach. Then the final and the fifth function, important function, is charging the data. So the user in a session uses some quantity of data, maybe in kilobits or megabits or in gigabits. So it is to be counted, it is to be measured, and accordingly it is to be charged. So this comes under charging data. Then further we will discuss about the functionalities of the HGSN. There is a location register within the HGSN. So within the HGSN, so there is one location register. So what is the purpose of this location register? The HGSN stores the location information, example, current cell and current VLR. So it has to store the location information like the BTS in which the user is located and the VLR to which the user is connected. So these are the two examples I have given for storing the location information. The other function is the HGSN also stores the user profile. So it has to store the user profile. Like IMSI, International Mobile Subscriber Identity, and packet address. So whenever you are accessing the data network, so it will have an URL address. So it is to be routed to the destination address properly. So these are the functions. So it also stores the user profiles for all the GPRS users registered with a particular HGSN. So it has to store the user profiles of all the users served by an HGSN. So it may be serving so many BTSs, it may be serving a few BSCs, it may be serving more than one MSCs, and so on. So all the users connected to a HGSN, the user profiles are to be stored by HGSN. Suppose if you assume that in a state there is one HGSN, so this HGSN has to store the user profiles of all the users in a state served by more than one MSC. So these are all the important functionalities of HGSN. Now let us look into the functions of the GGSN. The GGSN, which stands for Gateway GPRS Support Node, is one of the most important entities. I think there is a typo error within the 2G GSM Edge network architecture. So this is the most vital and important network element as far as the 2G GSM Edge architecture is concerned. The GGSN organizes interworking between the GPRS Edge network and external packet switched networks like internet to which the mobiles may be connected. So this is the GPRS Edge internal network. This is the external network like internet. So it has to facilitate the interworking between internal network and external network. So DGSN acts like a mediator for internal network and external network. So it has to facilitate the interworking between these two networks, this network and this network. The GGSN can be considered to be a combination of, so GGSN is equal to gateway plus router and firewall. So firewall, as it hides the internal network to the external network. So the firewall in the gateway hides the internal network from the external network. In operation, when the GGSN receives data addressed to a specific users, it checks if the user is active, then forwards the data. One user like this gets a data from the external network. So it has to receive GPRS has this gateway has to receive, check whether the user is active or not. Then it has to forward the data pertaining to the user without any omission. So it has to forward to the correct user, correct destination. Similarly, it has to forward the data from the mobile user to the exact destination in the external data network. So the user is accessing, say, yahoo.com. Then through this mobile, the data from this mobile has to go to BTS, from BTS BSC, then to HGSN, then to the gateway GPRS, and through external data, it has to reach yahoo.com. So this is the main functionality. So the same thing is given here. In the opposite direction, packet from the mobile is routed to the right destination network by the GGSN. So it routes the data traffic from the mobile user to the correct destination. Then in this slide, we will try to understand what are all the different upgradations required from GSM to GPRS. So if you want to provide GPRS facility, what are all the different upgrades required for different elements? First, we will start with mobile station. As far as the mobile station means, that is your mobile is concerned, new mobile station is required to access GPRS services. The old GSM mobile instrument is not compatible for accessing the data network. So you require a GPRS enabled new mobile handset. These new terminals will be backward compatible with GSM for voice calls. Okay, it is self-explanatory in the sense. So for voice, it has to depend on GSM network. So it will not be routed through the IP network or through a GSM. So it should be the GPRS enabled instrument should also facilitate voice communication. That means it should be compatible with GSM network also. So as far as the mobile stations are concerned, there are three types. Type A, GPRS and speech simultaneously. So here you can, while talking also, you can surf the internet. So that is the meaning of GPRS and speech simultaneously. Then type B is GPRS and speech auto switch. So it switches between voice and data automatically without the manual intervention of the user. Type C, GPRS or speech manual switch. So here in type C, either you can have voice communication or data communication. That too, it is to be switched manually. If you want to, you are speaking, in the meantime, there is some data requirement. So you have to switch to GPRS, or you are browsing the network. In the meanwhile, there is a call. So you have to switch to the voice network. So either it will work for GPRS or it will work for speech. Both are simultaneously not possible. In this auto switch GPRS bar speech, generally the network is designed in such a way that the speech will have precedence over data. Whenever voice call is activated or the incoming call, automatically the data will be disconnected. Generally, what I am telling, so it can be configured other way also, but mostly it is configured. Speech will have precedence over data communication. Then what is the upgradation required as far as the BTS is concerned? That is given in point number 2. BTS requires a software upgrade to the existing BTS. So BTS physically remains the same, but the only thing is a software upgradation is required for the BTS to take care of GPRS also. Then let us come to the third network element, that is the BSC. So this is the mobile equipment. This is the base transceiver station. So in the BTS, you do require software upgradation, but for that nothing is required. Hardware you need not change. Then we will come to the BSC. So BSC, the same BSC can be used, but you have to supplement this BSC with PCU, packet control unit, which in turn is connected to a GSM and GGSM and external data for data communication or for internet working. Let us go through the contents given here. So BSC, what is the upgradation required for BSC? BSC requires a software upgrade and the installation of new hardware called packet control unit. So you have to not only upgrade the software of the BSC, and you have to install, you have to add a new network element called packet control unit. Then PCU is responsible for handling the media access control, MAC, and radio link control, RLC layers of the radio interface. The business of PCU is it is responsible for handling MAC and radio link control layers in radio interface. Radio interface is from user to the BTS. This is the only wireless network. Other things are normal, like landline communication only. It may be connected through micro links, or it may be connected through fiber optic links, or it may be connected via copper wires. There is one PCU per BSC. So in each and every BSC, you have to add one PCU apart from software upgrade for BSc. Then we will continue the upgradation of various equipments for providing GPRS on GSM network. Then we will come to GPRS support nodes. So a GSM and GGSM put together, they are known as GPRS support nodes. The deployment of GPRS requires the installation of new core network elements called GSM and GGSM. So for providing data communication, as already we have seen in the architecture or network drawing, so these new network elements, GSM and GGSM, are to be deployed in the network. Then coming to the databases, we have databases like HLR, AUC, then Authentication Center, EIR, all these things are there. Here it is shown in a single block. Databases like HLR, VLR, etc. All databases involved in the network will require software upgrades to handle the new call models and functions introduced by GPRS. So already we are having HLR and VLR or Authentication Center, Equipment ID Register, and all these things we are having. But for enabling the GPRS facility, you do require some software upgrade. So that much only is required as far as these databases are concerned. Now, before discussing further, let us try to understand the concept of GSM service area or the hierarchy. So the smallest area is covered by one BTS called cell. A number of cells, the area covered by a number of cells is called location area. And different location areas put together is known as MSC bar VLR area. And different MSCs bar VLRs area covered by a service provider by one operator is known as PLMN service area, public land mobile network service area. So this is the area served by a particular operator. If you take an operator in India, the entire area covered by the specific operator, say for example BSNL, is known as the BSNL PLMN area. And above that, you have GSM service area. So for example, let us assume one operator is not covering all the states and union territories in India. So an operator may be covering only some 80% of the states or union territories in India. So some other operator may be covering the balance area. So the entire area of India, if you take India as unit, covered by all the service operators or mobile service operators together, put together, is known as GSM service area. This is the area covered by GSM network, irrespective of the operators. All operators put together, what is the area they are covering. So anyhow, let us go through the contents of this slide. Okay. Cell is the basic service area, this one, and it is nothing but the area covered by a BTS. Each cell is given a cell global identity a number that uniquely identifies the cell. So each BTS is given one number known as Cell Global Identity Number, CGI. It is unique for each and every BTS. There is no repetition of CGI. By knowing the CGI, you can identify the base station concerned. It may be anywhere, say for example in India. So it will have a unique code number or serial number, whatever you call, for better understanding. LA, a group of cells form location area. So a group of cells is known as location area. This is the area that is spaced when a subscriber gets an incoming call. So the meaning of it is whenever a subscriber in a location, irrespective of the BTS, so this is the location. So there may be another cell here, another cell here. So whenever an incoming call is coming to one of the BTSs in this location area, so an alert will be given to the location area wise, not BTS wise. Alert will be sent to the location area, not to the BTS. So thereby all BTS will be in active mode to receive that call. So the paging or addressing will be towards the location area, N block, for a few base transceivers covered by the location area concerned. Each location area is assigned a location area identity. Just like CGI, location area also will have one unique identity. Each location area is served by one or more BSCs. So the area covered by location area can be within one BSC or more than one BSC also. It may be the location, entire location area may be of two BSCs, for example. Or it may be part of one BSC and part of another BSC also is possible. MSC bar VLR service area. This one, MSC bar VLR service area. The area covered by one MSC is called the MSC bar VLR service area. So whatever the area, geographic area, an MSC bar VLR is covering is known as MSC bar VLR area. Then we have the fourth one in the hierarchy of the coverage of mobile service is PLMN, Public Land Mobile Network. The area covered by one network operator is called PLMN. A PLMN can contain one or more MSCs. So if you take an example, Airtel as an example in India, the area covered by Airtel in India is known as PLMN area. So each PLMN will have n number of MSCs. So in our example, Airtel need not cover entire India. So perhaps it may be covering some 90% of India. Balance 10 is not covered by India, by Airtel. Balance 10% of India in our assumption is not covered by Airtel. So perhaps some other operator like BSNL may be covering that balance area. So both put together, they will be covering entire India as a unit. So this area is known as GSM service area. GSM service area, the area in which a subscriber can access the mobile network irrespective of the operator. So irrespective of the operator, provided there is tie-up between different operators. So the GSM, one telephone or mobile operator can get access to the other mobile operator network where they have MOUs. When an operator is not having mobile services, say for example in some two states, so he has to enter into an agreement with the operators whosoever is having the coverage in that states. Now we will look into the benefit side. First, we will discuss what are the benefits of edge to operators. What are the benefits we are going to give to the operators? How they are benefited, how the telecom service provider is benefited by having edge network. Short-term benefits, capacity and performance. So he gets, the telecom service provider gets benefits in terms of capacity as well as performance. Easy implementation on GSM bar GPRS network. So it can be easily implemented on the existing GSM bar GPRS network. But for changing some modulation techniques and software upgradation. It is cost effective. So providing edge on GSM bar GPRS network is very cheap. Increases the capacity and triples the data rate of GPRS. So it further improves the capacity of the network and triples the data rate. The access rate of edge is 3 times when compared to GPRS. Enables new multimedia services. So it facilitates to provide new multimedia services. Long-term benefit, when you go look into the long-term benefits, so harmonization with WCDMA or 3G. So the migration to 3G, which works on WCDMA, wideband code division multiple access. So it is very easy of migration. So harmonization with WCDMA. Okay. Then now we will look into the benefits to subscribers. What are the benefits the subscribers are going to get benefited with edge technology? Streaming applications, they can access streaming applications, very high speed downloads, corporate intranet connections. So a corporate, any organization can have intranet with the help of edge because of its higher download capacity. Quicker multimedia services, MMS services they can have. They can have video phone call facility. So you can have video call facility because the data rates are sufficient to support video call also. The bandwidth is sufficient for video call. Then corporate applications like video conference, remote presentations, all these things are possible. These are the benefits to the subscribers by means of edge network. Now we will compare both GPRS and edge. So here I have tabulated in 2 slides. Let us go through one by one a little bit fast. GPRS is considered as 2.5G. This is nothing but the summary what we have discussed on GPRS and edge. And we are comparing both GPRS and edge. So if GPRS is 2.5G, edge is considered as 2.75G, almost 3G. GPRS stands for, we told many a time, General Packet Radio System, whereas edge stands for Enhanced Data Rates for GSM Evolution. The speed is in the range of 64 kbps to 144 kbps in case of GPRS, and it is 384 kbps to 474 kbps in case of edge. And number 4, it can also be considered as the enhanced version of GSM. GPRS is considered as enhanced GSM or eGSM. So as far as the edge is concerned, it can be considered as enhanced version of GPRS or eGPRS, I can say. Modulation technique is GMSK here, Gaussian minimum shift keying. So here the modulation technique is 8 PSK, that is octernary phase shift keying, of course for bad channel condition. So edge also obeys GMSK only. That means it falls down to GPRS levels. Radio data rate per time slot is 22.8 in case of GPRS. Radio data rate per time slot is 69.2 in case of edge. This is radio data rate. I am not speaking about the user data rate. Radio capability I am talking. Okay. Then user data rate per time slot is 21.4 kbps in case of GPRS. User data rate per time slot is 59.2 in case of edge. Multiple access techniques used is TDMA here. Here both TDMA, either TDMA or CDMA can be used as far as the multiple access technique is concerned. Number of coding schemes we know in GPRS 4. Number of coding and modulation schemes used in edge. There are 9 schemes, MCS 1 to MCS 9. Then we have to add new components for GPRS facility on GSM network. They are GSN, GGSN, PCU for data services. Same as in GPRS, but for different modulation techniques. So here also the same network elements are additionally required on GSM, or no additional requirement is required on GPRS, but for change in modulation technique. MS and BS are modified for GPRS data support. So you have to modify the mobile station and base station to suit for the GPRS data speeds. Here you have to modify the MS and BS to support high-speed data supported by the edge. So these are all the major differences between GPRS and edge. Okay, this is my YouTube channel. So if you like my video lecture, please subscribe to my channel. So my channel is youtube.com/c/ivaprasad. Thank you for participating in my lecture. Thank you.